What is the proper role of a father? The proper role of a mother, of an elder brother, of a younger brother, of an elder sister, a younger sister, and so on all the way round. And you know how it is in our own life. We are all role-playing. We play roles according to our occupation in life. We also play roles with respect to our characters. There are certain social kinds of role, for example, which it is acceptable for men to play. There are certain roles which men ought not to play, according to definition. And you very soon are taught to accept yourself as a certain kind of a character. You are told who you are. For example, you may remember as children when you went out to play with other children and you came home mimicking the mannerisms of some other child. And your parents being disturbed by this because they said, "That's not you, Johnny, that's Peter." Because everybody wants to identify you and tell you who you are. And this grows and grows as you go through life. More and more, people are trying to identify you. Like they say, "Are you a Republican or are you a Democrat? Are you a Presbyterian, Episcopalian, a Baptist, a Roman Catholic? Come on now, what are you? Tell us." And people, in other words, persuade you into accepting certain roles. And it's so effective, this, because you eventually come to believe in it all. One of the funniest things they do to you, this is really hysterical. I told some of you about it this morning we here. So bear with me if I repeat myself. But when you're taught who you are as a child, do you realize it's practically impossible for you to resist social persuasion? The general effect of what people say to you as a child is utterly irresistible. But they define you as a free and independent agent. And they say, "You're responsible, see? And we'll praise you for what you do well and blame you for what you do badly. But you are responsible." That is to say, you are an independent source of feelings and thoughts and actions. And you believe that because you must. There is no way of resisting it. In other words, you are defined as an independent agent because you aren't. And this leads to the most amazing confusions. I don't say that you don't have freedom inherently. I'm saying the way in which you are defined as free is a way which you cannot resist. And therefore, society goes on to say to you, you are required and commanded to behave in such a way that will only be acceptable if you do it voluntarily. That is to say, darling, all nice children love their mothers. And of course you ought to love your mother too, but not because I say so, but because you really want to. Wowee. When you've had that put into you, you live in a state of confusion for the rest of your life. Because you are trying to be free as a result of a compulsion which you can't resist. And the thing is completely self-contradictory. So this is some of the problems attached to role-playing. However, when you go on in life, you know, and you realize you're going to wear out, and that your role is wearing a bit thin, and you begin to wonder about the human state and death and getting sick and decrepit, you begin to ask questions, who am I really? I mean, underneath the role, what is all this? What is a self? What is sensitivity? What is consciousness? What is it to exist? I really don't think I know myself at all. Now, in our culture, at the present time, we don't have very much to offer for people in that condition. It's true, we have psychoanalysis, and we have some religions, but our religions, when you consider ordinary standard brand religions in the Western world, and they are now all more or less proclaiming that God is dead, they don't offer very much except social convention and rubbing it in. They say, you should be good. We've made statistical studies of the subject matter of sermons given all over the United States on Sunday after Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. And they all amount to, basically, the vast percentage of them saying to people, you ought to be good. Everybody knows this, but nobody knows how. You must love. You see, that's what the preachers are saying. And if history tells us anything, it tells us that preaching doesn't work. Nobody ever listened to it. Oh, they love being scolded. A colorful scolding by a good preacher is a great thrill. But by and large, our standard brand religions, so far as leading one to a real deep and experiential discovery of who and what you really are, and what your situation in this universe is, they don't go very far.